Welcome to the Chimney and Fireplace Success Network, a weekly broadcast sponsored by CVC Success Group, hosted each week by industry speaker, coach, author, and educator Jerry Eisenhower. Our presentations are produced to assist business owners and managers in turning their business dreams into their business realities. And now, here is your host, Jerry Eisenhower.
SOPs, standard operating procedures. They save you time. They put money in your pocket. Let me share with you the hows and the whys that solid SOPs are going to increase your bottom line, your profit. Now, as Paul Harvey once said, here's the rest of the story. You know, reading this morning, I saw an article, and it was about United Parcel Service, UPS. And one of the things that UPS has is a process and a procedure where they almost never turn left. So as I watched this, I watched how the process and the procedure that UPS had developed saved them millions of dollars a year in both time loss, fuel costs. Because we all know they got these brown trucks running all across America. And if they're wasting time and they're wasting fuel on each one of those trucks, multiply it by every one of those brown trucks running out down the road in your city, your town. And then how many of those do you have across our vast country? And as I looked at this, it made me think more and more. Because also I saw on an industry Facebook page this morning that someone had asked a question about, does anybody have any SOP templates that they can share with me? So what I want to do is share with you my own journey of processes and procedures. And when did it start and where did it start? It started some years ago when the National Chimney Sweep Guild brought in a gentleman as a keynote speaker by the name of Michael Gerber. Why did they select Michael as a keynote speaker? Because Michael had written a book called The E-Myth, and it was all about working on the business and not working in the business all the time, and building a system that is replicatable, and how this takes the handcuffs off the business owner. Because see, this is what often happens. The business owner, the manager, has so much information in their heads, and they become the answer man. In other words, every time we turn around, how much of your time is taken up with somebody wanting to know how to do this, how to do that? So from meeting Mr. Gerber and having breakfast with him there, because I was one of the sponsors of his talk at that convention, several of us had put down part of the funding to bring Michael into the meeting. And from that point, I read the E-Myth. And I was in a mixed group at that time and watched where others in my mixed group were actually moving forward with E-Myth and E-Myth mastery programs and using E-Myth coaches to help them develop systems and the processes in their business to remove the handcuffs. So it's like, hey, this makes a lot of sense. I read the E-Myth and I got it. I heard the story about people opening businesses because they liked what they were doing. And after they opened the business, they started to hate things that they loved before because it took over their mind. I still remember about the guy who'd opened up the marina because he loved boats. And after he went to work and opened his own business, he hated boats. And I still remember the person when he talked about the pies and that her answer to make more money was, we just got to make more pies. And this is what I often see. We're trying to raise our sales, but I also see so much waste and so much loss because we don't capitalize on all of our time. You know, as we go through this, let me tell you a couple little stories in my own life. After I read and listened to the UPS story today, I remembered about an intersection near my retail operation some years ago. It was a real big intersection, had a lot of lights, and you had to wait it sometimes 5 to 8 minutes to turn left. And one day I looked up there and I said, you know, I wonder how much time that my people spend sitting at that traffic light ready to turn left. So I calculated how much time was spent on the average day sitting at that one intersection. And then I looked at how many days a year One of my trucks sat at that intersection. And lo and behold, I came to the conclusion of the number of days that we spent sitting at that intersection waiting to turn left. Once we realized the problem, we started looking for other routes to avoid that traffic light. Another time in the business I was in, much as you, we had to wash drop cloths. So as I looked at this, I started analyzing what am I spending a year to wash drop cloths? And I came to the conclusion after my study that what we needed to do was put in a commercial laundry that could handle much heavier loads at one time to reduce the time it took to wash our drop cloths. I spent over $12,000 on that washer and dryer. That washer and dryer is still being used today by people that bought it from me. But we calculated what it was costing us a year. And our decision was to spend over $12,000 to build our own in-house laundry. I felt I had the premier laundry room in the chimney and vending industry. But see, that's what it takes. It takes research, it takes data, and it takes understanding of what the problems are. But building SOPs, it's an overwhelming task. It's simply overwhelming. Because what we've got to do, we've got to take into account the research, the data, and understand what our problems are, and understand that often our people don't know the path to follow. It's also going to take prioritization on your part as the manager. You got to decide what's important. Then you got to decide what's really important. And then you got to make a decision about what's really not all that important. It's something we call the 80-20 rule. If you can take care of 80% of your problems, the other 20% may just not matter. So, I've said this in previous podcasts, I've said this in seminars for years, and I firmly believe what I'm getting ready to tell you. Every time there's a mistake in your business, there are three reasons for the mistake. Three key reasons. And here's the three reasons. There is no SOP, there is no process, and people develop their own paths. The second reason is, and I often find this, the SOP is actually wrong. And people have developed another way to do it without following the SOP. But many are doing it wrong. And the third is if someone simply didn't follow the SOP, maybe it was from rebellion, maybe it was a refusal to follow the processes. But after many years of working on SOPs, I actually wrote a book on it. It's available on Amazon and other booksellers. But my purpose in telling you this is not to get you to buy my book. The reason I tell you about this is I developed an 8-step process, and I want to give you this process. I want to provide you with a free electronic version of this book. To obtain it, all you have to do is send me an email to jerry@cbcsuccessgroup.com. Once I get that, I'm going to send you back the link where you can go through and find out about the 8-step process that I developed from my own business and working with others. See, this is where we're at in business, and many simply don't see this. But waste can take up 15 to 25% of your gross dollar income. Think about that for a minute. If you have $1 million business, that's $150,000 to $200,000 a year that's simply being washed down the drain. But in order to get on top of this problem, you have to track and you have to measure it. Otherwise, you're simply never going to see it. It just continues to happen because you're used to it. Think for a minute, just how much waste have you gotten used to in your own business? I know that when I go in and do analysis for people, it's mind-boggling the waste I see happen. The waste. And it's not major issues of waste, it's small issues of waste. But there's an old saying about small issues and money and waste. And that is the man that counts the pennies and another man counts the dollars in the business. Who'll have more money at the end of the year? And the findings are that the guy that's tracing down the pennies, the pile of money that he uncovers is much higher than the guy who's looking for the dollars. You see, as we look at it again, I recently did another podcast and it was titled, Where's the money? Where's the money that's supposed to be in your checking account in your profit side? I've assisted a lot of companies in my career in this task. I don't write them for them. Rather, I share the hows and why it's done and provide the process, which is what I'm doing in the book that I'm encouraging you to buy. You see, if you won't set SOPs, you should have bought a franchise. That's what franchises sell. They sell you the system. But many people don't buy a franchise. And if you don't buy a franchise, then you're going to need systems and processes designed especially for you, specifically for you, and for the market that you service. Because you're an independent business owner. You know, in the world of coaching, I've actually looked at coaching processes, and the system was so regimented, I couldn't alter the system for the needs of the individual client. So again, if you'd like help putting together the SOPs like we're talking about, there's easy ways to do this. You've got to get involved. You can't let this task overwhelm you. And most of all, you got to pull the trigger and start. Because you see, one of the leading failures of so many business owners is what we call FTI. And what does FTI stand for? Here's what it stands for: failure to implement. You've heard about systems, SOPs, SOGs, all these things for a number of years. What's going to be the day? What's going to be that magic moment that's going to trigger you into action? In producing this podcast today, what's my hope? What's my dream? That today, this is the magic moment for you. So with that, I want to thank you for joining me here today on the Chimney and Fireplace Success Network. My name is Jerry Eisenhower. Reach out to me at jerry@cbcsuccessgroup.com and let's have a call. You might just find out that the processes that we use are the process that you've been looking for and needing, and we can help you turn your business dreams into your business realities. Talk to you later. Appreciate you joining me today.
Thanks for joining us here each week at the Chimney and Fireplace Success Network, sponsored by CVC Success Group, providing you the coaching and educational outreach services you need to move to your dream destination in business and in life.